All right, guys. Sorry for yesterday's video. That whole monstrosity. It was a long day. I'm just gonna say that instead of Pokemon yesterday, I went the Super Mario route and got transported into another world. All I'm saying. Anyway, today's sales data is a combination between yesterday's and this morning's. We have a lot to go through. A lot of them raw and a lot of them record price points. These are insane. All right, so first we have a first edition PSA 9 Blaine's Arcanine, 294 or best offer. So again, the last one I think it was around 272. So if someone were to offer that guy 250, he probably would have taken it. And the good thing about it is that they got a deal. It's very good. I think that first edition Blaine's Arcanine, probably in the next couple of months you'll see it actually go for auction at 300. Um, Moving on, we had a pre-release Clefable PSA 7, 410 or best offer. So we don't know 100% what that was, but recently we had a PSA 7 sell for I think 300. So maybe they got like 330, 340 out of it. The eights I think are worth between 4 and 5. So the 8 would definitely get 400. Again, those pre-release Clefables are hard to find. They're extraordinarily hard to grade. Not a 10 exists at all. The highest is a 9. I think there's 5/8. I have one of them, which is great. The Shadowless Ninetales, raw. All right, so these are going to be interesting. So we have a bunch from base set that were Shadowless, and I was able to gather some of the data of the people that actually bid on them, and 2 or 3 people like bid on all of these, the top 3. So Shadowless Ninetales, I looked at it as like a PSA 8. Again, it's raw, but it sold for 26. The other 2 bids were 25 and 22. And for the Ninetales, we had this one bidder, let's call him RI. The second bidder was LS, and the third bidder was RC. You know how you could tell the first and the last letter? Uh, then we had a Shadowless Clefairy. That was raw as well. All these are raw. I gauged it like a PSA 8, maybe 8.5, a little bit of whitening and edge wear. That one sold for 51. The second bid was 54. Third bid was 48. And the Clefairy, where the hell did you go? Oh yeah, so IR got the first bid, R2 got the second bid, someone named DR got the third bid. Moving on to Nidoking. Nidoking was a raw again. I would have given that maybe a 7 probably because it was very off center and it had a little chip on the top back of the card. So that's why I gave it a 7. The most of it, again, minor edge wear, minor whitening, but the off center definitely down a grade, and then the chip on the top. Again, but that sold for 52. Second bid was 51. Third bid was worth 37. And this Nidoking IR got it again. So IR won the Clefairy, IR won the Nidoking, and RI was the second bid for the Nidoking, which won the Ninetales. Moving on to Mewtwo. These are all shadowless, all raw. That got 56. Second bid was 55. The third bid was 43. I would have given that a 7 or 8 again, anywhere between there. And RI won this one as well. IR came in second, and someone named S Dash came in third. That was the Mewtwo. Moving on to the Magneton. Only sold for like a 36. Second bid was 35. Third bid was 35, and fourth bid was 33. I just did that because they were all very, very close to each other. They all probably bid at the last second. And that I probably would have gave a PSA 8 to. And the Magneton, someone out of nowhere, RC came for the win to get that. And then someone named Negative G, and then LS, who was the third bidder on Nidoking, became the third bidder on Magneton. And then IR, the winner of the King and the Clefairy, that came in fourth on the Magneton. I'm just going to skip the Dark Charizard for a second, go to Shadowless Gyarados, because that's the last one. The Shadowless Gyarados sold for 52. Second bid was a 51. Third bid was a 50. I would give that an 8, 8.5. Again, a little bit of whitening. It's kind of hard to tell with PSA nowadays. And RI won that one as well. So RI won the Gyarados, the Mewtwo, and the Ninetales. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Gyarados, Mewtwo, yeah, and the Ninetales. And IR won the King, Clefairy, and some random one won the RC. So that was pretty interesting. You had the top, 3 people bid on each one of those. Then we have a first edition Hollow Dark Charizard. I probably would have gave that a 9. That was a very good card, and sold for 226. Now an actual PSN 9 will sell for 300, so that's a very good investment. So pay the premium because you're gonna grade a card. If it gets a 9, it's gonna be over $200. So you'll pay a premium PSA. It's not just the $7 if you do a bulk order. And in like a year they'll get that back, and it'll probably go up even more, maybe even 400 by the time this time next year. Then we had a first edition blaines Charizard. I probably would have gave that a 9 as well. That sold for $338. Oh, I'm sorry. So for the first edition Charizard, 226, 224, 210. So all of those above 200. The blaines Charizard at PSA 9, 338. Again, I would have gave that a 9. It was raw. Second bid was 333. Third bid was 325. The blaines Charizards have been very, very interesting recently because the 7s were selling for more than the 8s, at auction. And the raws were going for just as much. And the raws that I saw probably would have been like a PSA 7, maybe PSA 8, and they were still going for 200 to 300. This one, because it was such high quality, probably PSA 9. That's why it would have gotten, that premium. So also, as soon as that auction ended, as soon as it ended, somebody bought a first edition PSA 9 graded already, blaines Charizard. It was 600 or best offer, because I think they know exactly what I know, is that those 9s are going to grow up like a mother. They've been growing. Again, a raw just sold for $338. New record price for a raw until later. And then that blaines Charizard, again, I had a chance to get a PSA 9 for like $420 like a month ago. It was even like a few weeks ago. It wasn't even a month ago. It was in March. Should have gotten it because the growth is so phenomenal. Which, again, this is one of the lower ends of that tier where you see a lot of times, usually the lower end is a first edition PSA 10 selling for usually a minimum of 3 times of what the 9 sells for. On the upper end, you have about like 8 to 10. Obviously, the Lapras was 16, but this blaines Charizard, it's barely double. The 9 is barely double. If the 9 sells for almost 500, the last first edition PSA 10 sold for about 1300. So we'll see probably another record price point a week from today, because that's when the PWCC auction ends. But moving on, we had a first edition Shining Charizard raw. This card was damn near perfect. It was a little bit of whitening. I would have given that minimum a 9, very strong 9, possibility a 10. Again, PSA is very, very judgmental with that now. Now, PSA 9 in general, for that Shining Charizard, last one sold for about $1,400. But this one, raw, sold for $1,225, and the second bid was $1,200, and the third bid was $1,157. So raw, which is insane. I don't think this would get an 8. This card was too perfect for an 8, but definitely minimum a 9. And it had... So even if they pay the premium, because that any card that is going to be deemed worth above $200, PSA will tack a premium on. They'll charge a bit more for it. And then again, they'll have to wait. So, but again, in a year, when they get that card back, that price is going to shoot up from, $1,400 where it was, probably to $1,600, maybe even close to $2,000, because you have the exponential growth of the PSA 10. So the first edition Hollow Dark Charizard, this one was slightly off center. It had a little small whitening on the back right, but it's still, I would have given that a 9 still. And that sold for $250. The top 4 bids were $250, $248, $243, and $240. So a lot of competition in there. A lot of people think it was good. I think the reason that one sold for more is because the Dark Charizard before then, about a half hour before then, sold for $226. So people were like, all right, people are willing to pay this. And again, Dark Charizard's PSA 9 sell for $300. So if you pay $250, let's say pay $25 to get it graded, still making a profit. Again, in a year, it'll probably go up. We had another first edition blaines Charizard. This one was probably the most perfect card I've seen. Better than the Shining Charizard. Again, this was raw. The top 4 bids were $610, $600, $551, and me at $420. Now, why did I bid $420? Originally, I was like, all right, let me see if I can snag this for $100, because the other blaines Charizard, that was probably a 9 that sold for $338. So I was like, all right, if I sell for $400, or if I get it for $400, it's a steal. I'll bid. So I bid $400. Already I was outbid. I was like, oh, fuck. So I do $420. And then there's people, and I just see it going up $558. I was like, oh my God, this is a raw card. Like, this might not get a 10. Like this might get a 9. But even if it does get a 9, again, that's you're probably paying a premium for it right now. But that card will be worth more than you paid for it in a year or two. But again, if that gets a 10, you probably just doubled your investment minimum. Where were we? Okay, yeah. The only thing I saw is the tiniest bit of whitening on the back of that card. Other than that, it was damn near perfect. We had a first edition Ho-Oh from Neo Revelation. I don't really know too much about Neo Revelation, so I had to do a little digging around. And it sold. Top three bids were 215, 212, and 189. Now, the only other PSA 8s that have sold was for X amount of price or best offer. So I was looking at it, and there was no other ones that have sold at auction in recent history. I could probably go to Pokemon Price and maybe find one, but we had some 9s that sold for 225, but our best offers ran from 145 to 199. And again, like maybe it grades a 9, but I probably saw that as a PSA 8. Again, maybe they're trying their luck. It'll grade a 9, and that was a bit of a gamble. But again, the 8s still sell. We'll see what happens with that. I'm actually going to be curious to see the next one where that goes to. Then we had, this is a first edition Dark Charizard, and it was graded by SB. Wait, so Sierra Golf Charlie Card.com. So SGC Card.com. It was graded a 10, and it looked like minimum of a 9, very strong 9, or a 10. The top three bids on that was 676, 666, and 600. And then it was weird because it was relisted, at auction again, 0.99 cents, and then it was sold again. So I don't know 100% what went on with that. I just know it sold. The person that won had 5 feedback. I don't know what it was. Then it was relisted, and then it was sold. So again, I don't know if I would buy, because I don't know SGC Card. They could very well be a very good company. I don't know. But I just had never heard of them. So that they would probably regrade that to PSA. I don't know how PSA does the regradings from other companies. Then moving on, we had another first edition Dark Charizard. This one was raw. I would have given this probably a 9 as well. Maybe like 8.5, some whitening and edge wear, but this one sold for $375. So I'm not 100% sure what the difference was between the first Dark Charizard, sold for $226, the second Dark Charizard, which sold for, where the hell am I looking at here? $250. So those were within $25 of each other. And then this one sells for $375, $125 more. Now, I thought the second Dark Charizard that we went over, was not, or was in better condition than this one, which again probably would have gotten a 9. But I think maybe if they give it 8.5, like, all right, yeah, it's fair. But this one sold for $375, $370. Those were the top 2 bids, and then $240 was the third bid. So I think these guys, they really just wanted this card. They missed out on the 2 others because that $240 bid is in line with the $226 and $250. So that makes sense. Because they were all about the same mintiness and freshness. But then I think these 2 cards are just like, you know what, I might not be able to get this again. I'm just going to buy this perfect card raw. Then we had a first edition Blaines Charizard, which I would have probably given a PSA 8 to. And this sold for almost as much as the one that I gave the PSA 9 to. The PSA 9 would sold for $338. This one had $330, $325, and $320. Those are the top 3 bids. Again, just whitening and edge wear. So I think a PSA 8 right now, that new price one is $300. PSA 8 first edition Charizard is going to be $300. PSA 9 first edition Charizard is probably going to be $5, because we had that sold for $600 or $610 or best offer. So I say that the 9 is going to be $5, and that because generally speaking, those 10s normally don't go for less than 3 times what the 9 goes for. We have a 500 new price point next Sunday for that first edition PSA 10 Charizard. Probably going to be $1,500. Calling it now. In a week from now, I will make another video, and you will know. But that is my prediction. Another Pokemon Gamer 123, Pokemon Trader 123. They commented on my video the other day. I remember I read the comment. Again, I was in Super Mario Mushroom Land yesterday, so completely might have botched the replies. Sorry about that. Um, we did have a good conversation. So this is my idea. If someone else wants to, and I'll make a new video about this probably because it's 15 minutes already. I'll just save that for another video. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. Bye.